Hi, I'm Alison from Alison's Astrology, and I've come to talk to you today about the week ahead. That's the week beginning Monday, the 7th of October. So it's another exciting week with a couple of big shifts. So important to listen in and see how they're going to play out in your chart. My eclipse story was the kittens that we found in the container in the bin outside our house. And you'll be pleased to know they're doing well. Anyway, they're a lot of work, but they're doing well. So I hope that, I hope you've had some positive eclipse stories as well as maybe some more dramatic ones, which I'm sure some of you will have done, given the things that have been happening around us up to this point. And as we come through to Monday, over the weekend, it's important to note that Mars reached what we call its retrograde shadow period. So it got as far as 17 degrees Cancer, and that's the point to which it will retrograde back when it turns retrograde on the 4th of December. So what happens, to try and make this a little bit more clear, is that it's got now to the 17 degrees Cancer. It keeps going until it gets to 6 degrees of Leo, and that's on the 4th of December. And at that point, it turns back, or it appears to, from our point on Earth, until it gets to 17 Cancer again, okay? And then it goes direct. And it goes direct at 17 Cancer again next February. I think it's the 24th of February. So essentially, the degrees between 17 Cancer and 6 degrees of Leo are going to have Mars passing over them a couple of times, with the 2 degrees at either end going to have the stations direct and retrograde. So that'll be like a sort of a thumb pressed down on that point. So that'll be important if you've got those degrees in your chart. And if you've got anything between any of that sort of chunk of Cancer and the beginning of Leo, actually, this will be an important time for you. Important to rethink your projects, rethink where you're headed. It might be something to do with home and family as well, where you come from, your ancestors, your past. Is all that sort of coming back to make you think about things again. Maybe even your mum, because, Cancer's to do with the moon. So these things could be things that you're thinking about how you relate to them, and thinking about where you're going with them, what's that story for you? So moving forward then, as we move on into Tuesday, Mars is sort of slowly continuing to move through Cancer now. And on Tuesday, we have a lovely trine aspect, a flowing aspect with Venus in Scorpio. So this is between Mars and Venus, so obviously the masculine and feminine, and they're both in water signs. So that's hopefully a really sort of nice emotional sort of moment for you, especially if if you're a water sign person, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, or if you've got angles in those signs or around those degrees. But anyway, whatever, the trine is normally a good flowing, happy feeling aspect. And in Scorpio as well, it could be to do with sort of money. And we're still looking at that Cancer thing with the tribe, the family, the background, the home, all those kinds of things too. And on the same day, just a little bit later on, I'm just checking my charts here, we've got Mercury, which is moving to a trine with a lovely trine with Jupiter at the same time. So we've got both those things happening actually on Tuesday. And they're doing their trine across air signs. They're at 21 degrees. So if you've got anything in the air signs at 21 degrees, that could be lovely for you. That includes Aquarius, so Libra and Gemini and Aquarius. And also, so this is about discussion, maybe negotiation. It's about, socializing, about thinking about things, talking to people, making things happen through discussion, because Jupiter's about expansion, and Mercury in Libra is about negotiating, is about kind of finding a way forward for things. So I think that this could be good if there's any money issues involved, but also just for generally talking, discussing, socializing with friends, those kinds of things on Tuesday. So yeah, book some meetings for sort of early afternoon, something like that, or even late morning, and they should go well. Okay, so as we move on to Wednesday, Jupiter as well is actually turning retrograde this week from our place on Earth. So from where we're looking at it in the sky, and Jupiter's always really bright in the sky, so we should be able to see it, it sort of stops and then it appears to go backwards to cover the ground that it's already covered. So it's going back from 21 degrees of Gemini to 11 degrees of Gemini. So it moves more slowly than Mars. So if you've got any planets or angles, again, in that sort of chunk of Gemini, that could be really important for you. And also just look to see where it's happening in your chart, because that's also of interest, which area of life. And again, you can you can get your chart up on AstroSeek or astro.com and see where this might be happening for you. So Jupiter's our planet of expansion. If you've got a planet or an angle at 21 degrees Gemini, then this could be really good actually, because it's pressing down on that angle there. And then it's starting to move back, so you're going to have to be rethinking the things that you've been discussing, maybe putting details in place, getting more information. Gemini is always about information. And this period of retrograde is very much about that, actually. Sort of chugging backwards until you have all the facts, until you've got everything sort of sorted out. And then you can go forward again. And both these planets, interestingly, both Mars and Jupiter, will get back to the positions of their at which they turned retrograde. So that's 21 degrees of Gemini for Jupiter and 6 degrees of Leo for Mars at the same time, the first week of May next year. So there could be quite a few things, I feel, that are sorted out or feel like they're finished off at the beginning of May next year. And I do think it's a sort of a period to look out for. So the good thing about Jupiter's retrograde actually is that it's going to be dispositive, which means ruled. Mercury is in charge of it by Mercury, because it's in Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. And Mercury is in a really good place in Libra because it's practically on Spica, the really fortunate star. So I think that this actually kind of compounds that sense of kind of something positive happening around that station retrograde for Jupiter. And so as if that wasn't enough this week, as we kind of get to come to grips with all that, on Saturday, that's Saturday the 12th, we've got Pluto turning direct. Now, we've heard so much about Pluto in Capricorn, so now it's turning direct, stationing, turning direct, and chugging back through those last 22 minutes of Capricorn. And that's the last time for these 240 years. So come November the 19th, we'll be able to say goodbye to Pluto in Capricorn and hello, Pluto in Aquarius forever, or at least for the next foreseeable period. So this is important, this is this last kind of emphasis on all those Capricorn issues of property and money and plutocracy and those kinds of things, this, and it's on that anaretic degree, that 29 degrees, which is always so important. So much like, the whole of the sign is encapsulated, sometimes it feels, in that last 29th degree. So Pluto is really going to be expressing the Capricorn values. But Capricorn, remember, is the goat fish, and there's the other side of Capricorn, which is the spirituality. So it loves structure, it loves organizations, it's really ambitious, it likes to do well in life, it works really, really hard. And then it has the spiritual side to it. So there's an element of faith always with Capricorn too. An element of belief. So that might come through as well as Pluto goes back through that last period. But this is the last point. And I feel that a lot of us will have things that are kind of finished off here or that come to fruition that we may have been waiting to conclude as we go through this last little bit of Capricorn. But we'll see. As always, we look at the charts and then we wait. So anyway, I think that's about it for now. And thank you very much. And I look forward to joining you again next week when we've got some other really interesting things happening. Okay. Thank you again. Bye-bye.